Radical Islam kills in New York. Pine's latest double cross of the Libs is a new low. A sexual harassment scandal rips through the UK Parliament. When will someone break the wall of silence here? And Julie Bishop definitely isn't running for PM. See you tonight.
Be a dual citizen.
A truck ploughed into pedestrians in New York.
This was an act of terror.
News you can trust, opinions you can't ignore. This is Sky News, Australia's news channel.
Good afternoon, welcome to the program. What a debacle. Stephen Parry has just confirmed he is a dual citizen. The Australian newspaper first on this one again this afternoon, confirming just in the last few minutes that the Senator Parry, after checking with British authorities as to whether he is a dual citizen, has now received the confirmation he is, based on what he said yesterday in a statement. He'll be resigning, not just as Senate President, but from the Parliament altogether. Now, it doesn't mean the government's going to fall. We need to remind everyone that he's in the Senate. That means he's replaced. The next on the ticket, Richard Colbeck, a former junior minister in the Turnbull government, will be coming back into Parliament. He's very keen to do so. There'll need to be a new Senate President. We're going to talk about that in a minute, because even before this confirmation this afternoon, a fight is already brewing between the Nationals and the Liberals over who should get that lucrative and important parliamentary position of Senate President. But for the government, here's the important thing. This, as I said on the program yesterday, is deeply embarrassing. It's frustrated colleagues of Stephen Parry that he didn't check, or at least he didn't announce that he might be a dual citizen when everyone else did, when everyone else was being referred and referring themselves to the High Court because of having a parent born in another country. Now, Stephen Parry has known his whole life that his father was born in the UK. Same situation as Fiona Nash, who rightly referred herself to the High Court. Stephen Parry, Senate President, when all of these referrals were being made by the Senate to the High Court, chose to stay mum. Didn't say a word, didn't even check with the British authorities until after Friday's High Court ruling. As I say, it's deeply embarrassing, deeply frustrating for the government as well. Labor doesn't buy the argument that no one else in the government knew about this. They say he should have stood down much, much earlier.
The notion that at no time did he consider that he himself might not be eligible is very difficult to understand. It's also difficult to comprehend that the first time he mentioned this to other members of the government was today or yesterday.
And I've just got the statement now from Stephen Parry, just dropping in the inbox as we go to air. With a heavy heart, he says, I inform you I have received advice from the British Home Office. I am a British citizen by virtue of my father's birthplace, thereby being a dual citizen under the provisions of the Constitution. Now, he goes on to say he'll submit his resignation both as President of the Senate and as a Senator for Tasmania. And because it's a rapid and unexpected event, he says, I will not have the usual opportunity to address you in the Senate one last time. He goes on to talk about his time in the Senate and so on. Now, you know, fair enough, some will feel sympathy that he has found himself in this situation. But as I say, the point of criticism here is that he didn't reveal this when everyone else is being referred to the High Court for consideration. Now, he's resigning. I would argue this case will still have to be referred to the High Court. Quick deliberation there because they've already ruled on this whole matter, but it will affect the way he is replaced. We heard this morning from the acting Prime Minister, Julie Bishop, not really hiding the government's frustration at this further revelation, but playing down suggestions the government is in some sort of crisis.
Of course, we wouldn't want to be in this position. We'd prefer it were otherwise, but you deal with the situation as it presents, and that's what we're doing.
So, yes, obviously they would prefer not to be in this situation. Plenty of people are saying we surely now need an audit of all MPs. Is Stephen Parry really going to be the last dual citizen amongst them? The last one who's actually found to be ineligible to have been there at all? Well, on the Labor side, they're still arguing they've got no problems. There's not one Labor MP, and it's true, not one has actually been found to be ineligible because of dual citizenship. The acting Labor leader, Tanya Plibersek, is very confident there won't be, and it argues there's no need for an audit.
Here's the thing. The simplest way of addressing this is for every member of Parliament, every candidate, to follow the rules. And instead of just insisting that people follow the rules, instead we've got all these efforts to change the rules.
What about on the government side? Do coalition MPs think there needs to be an audit now of all parliamentarians? Well, it really depends who you talk to.
I think that the time's passed for sort of having an audit. I think most of the auditing's been done.
I understand my government colleagues are not of a mind for an audit, but I do think the matter does need to be clarified.
And look, in case you're wondering, there's really no excuse for MPs not being aware of what the Constitution says. This is page 1 of the nomination form to stand for Parliament. It says very clearly, your attention is drawn to section 44 of the Constitution. Any person who is under acknowledgement of allegiance, obedience or adherence to a foreign power or a citizen or a subject shall be incapable of sitting in Parliament. Page 2 then asks them to tick a box, yes or no, as to whether they are eligible to stand for Parliament at all. Now, Stephen Parry filled this form out 3 times, each time he was elected to Parliament, and apparently didn't once consider whether his dad's birth in the UK might have caused a problem. Laura Jays is with me now. We're going to be talking to an MP shortly who does think we need to have an audit of all of his colleagues. But Laura, this confirmation, no great surprise, really. Stephen Parry, same situation as Fiona Nash. Yep. Dad's born in the UK, therefore you become a British citizen. He's out. He's now issued that resignation letter.
Yep, and as you say, no surprise, David. The attention turns to who now gets to sit as the Senate President. Wacker Williams is certainly being pushed by the Nationals, and he, as I spoke to him on his tractor this morning on his farm in northern New South Wales, said, look, he would consider it. Yes, absolutely, he'll throw his hat in the ring. For the last 18 months or 20 months of his parliamentary career, why not? When it comes to this audit, though, David, Labor is saying, no, we don't need to have an audit when it comes to citizenship and whether its members are indeed ineligible or eligible to sit in the Senate or the House of Representatives. But if Labor is so sure, why not just have this audit? I understand it's complicated. Who would do it? How long would it take? But there are questions, I think, over some of the Labor processes as well. Look at Susan Lamb, Katie Gallagher.